Insane. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I can't tell you if Vernon Davis or Stephen A. Smith is a better actor, Perna. That's right. Our friend Stephen A. Smith listed Terrance Williams as a receiving option for Tom Brady if Brady went to the Cowboys.
I got a number one in Amari Cooper. I got a reliable tight end, at least to some degree, no matter how old he is, in Jason Witten, who could be somewhat of a security blanket. I've got others as well. Terrance Williams and these boys.
Terrance Williams and these boys? Which boys? For Tom Brady right now, he could go to Dallas and have, I'm thinking, Drew Pearson, Bob Hayes, Alvin Harper. Williams hasn't caught an NFL pass since 2018. He's been hanging out with Derek Johnson and all those other players Stephen A. forgot weren't on NFL rosters. I will say, if anything convinces Tom Brady to pursue Dallas, it will be the thought of throwing passes to Dez Bryant and Cole Beasley. Today, I have more NFL news to discuss: Josh Norman's release, Andy Dalton trade rumors, Myles Garrett's inward claims, and the feature will be the XFL power rankings as we head into weekend number 2 of XFL football, and Vernon Davis's next movie. That's good, sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want football news updates a lot. I do have a Patreon shout out for Mustard Bus. Make sure you check out their YouTube channel. Mustard Bus donated $20, and that's right, I will promote your shit for $20, and I have a ton, and I mean a ton of Patreon shout outs at the end of this episode, so if you're a new donor, that's where it's gonna be. Now, Vernon Davis will soon be making his acting debut in a movie set to shoot here in Denver. When asked to give a line from the film on ESPN, he did this instead.
Give me a line real quick. Let me set you up for one of your lines. Like, what should I say to you to set you up? I want to see this.
Gosh, you put me on the spot, man. One of my lines from what? Just the movie?
The movie, yeah. I want to see that. I want to see you in character.
Yeah. You want to see me in character?
Yeah, give me something, Vernon.
It takes a lot, but I can.
Wait a minute.
I'm not surprised Vernon is a thespian. We've seen him cry on the field before and channel his emotions into his work, like when he lost his grandfather and started hurdling dudes in his honor and then also cried. I will forever love Vernon Davis for giving us this. And I truly hope he becomes the next The Rock. Now, Myles Garrett, in an interview with Mina Kimes, claimed again that Mason Rudolph called him the N-word, which is what set off the fight that nearly cost Mason Rudolph his head.
What did he say to you?
He called me the N-word. He called me a stupid N-word. I don't say the N-word, whether it's with A, E-R. To me personally, just shouldn't be said.
I don't know what the rules are. I don't know.
We all know the NFL definitely has the audio of this situation, but they would prefer to keep it a bigger mystery than the JFK shooting. I don't believe Myles Garrett would lie about this. Unless, of course, he used a helmet to hit another dude in the face. If that were me, I would say whatever I could to make myself look like less of an ass. But the number one reason I believe Myles Garrett is because he's wearing a Stranger Things shirt. A Stranger Things kids dressed up as the Ghostbusters meta shirt. That's not something that a typically violent man wears. That is something a nerd wears. And nerds do not attack unless provoked. That is literally the entire plot of Revenge of the Nerds. Now, I have no idea why the NFL would try and protect Mason Rudolph in this situation if he did say the N-word, because he sucks at football. Myles Garrett, on the other hand, is an elite player, which is why he's already been reinstated. If Rudolph did call Garrett the N-word, I'd say they're even. If he didn't, I'd say the NFL has more to gain by not revealing the truth to protect Garrett a bit. As a white guy, though, I will never understand what it feels like to be called something like the N-word. And to make sure this deplorable word isn't uttered by other white dudes on the football field, I would like to give you other, safe N-words to use as insults. Most sports anchors just give their opinion. I give solutions. First word, or phrase actually, nipple baby. Call somebody a nipple baby. Very insulting and far more enjoyable to say. Or you can go old-timey and say something like nanny cratty. You fucking nanny cratty. Not incredibly insulting, but wildly fun to say. There's also necrophiliac. Nothing worse than being called a guy who has sex with corpses. You sick necrophiliac. Probably Roethlisberger your safest bet to call that and be accurate. Then you've got naughty pole. Naughty pole is a great way to call someone a simpleton. And worst of all, you can just call someone a Norman. You play as bad as a Norman, a Josh Norman. And the Washington Redskins have released corner Josh Norman. Just yesterday in my Patreon-only podcast, someone asked which NFL player could be in the XFL next season. My answer was Josh Norman and Paxton Lynch. Norman was once a great corner in the league and probably at his best when feuding with OBJ.
Beckham, and then on the previous scuffle that they had, I think that was initiated by Beckham as well, because he's been getting pounded on each time, and he's waiting for them now to throw a flag. He's trying to keep his cool, hand up inside the face mask, and if these officials would watch what's going on.
Now that Josh Norman is a free agent, I think his best fit is with Ron Rivera and the Washington Redskin Potatoes. He played his best football on Rivera's defense in Carolina. If you remember, Dave Gettleman, at the time with Carolina, placed the franchise tag on Josh Norman and then rescinded it because Norman wanted elite level money comparable to Darrelle Revis, Patrick Peterson, and Richard Sherman at the time, and then the Panthers just cut him. It was like they took their dog to the vet because it had a tumor, and when the vet told them how much the operation was going to cost, they just put him down instead. Now, Josh Norman had one of the worst coverage grades in the league this last season, and he was noticeably bad on a terrible Washington defense. So, I'm not sure any team is going to be eager to sign him, even on a team-friendly deal. But I'm telling you, he could shine like a bright diamond in the XFL. And for the first time ever, yes, I am giving you my XFL power rankings. Coming in at number 8 is the LA Wildcats. They are the official dumpster fire of XFL teams, proving the only thing that works in Los Angeles is exploiting people for sex with the promise of fame. Their defense is so bad they fired defensive coordinator Pepper Johnson after one game. I think it's safe to say that it's nearly impossible for Pepper Johnson to be salty about the situation. And it will be hard for the Wildcats to find a more seasoned coach. Their head coach slash GM slash defensive coordinator slash linebackers coach, Winston Moss, is wearing so many hats I can't even throw shade at him because he's already embraced living in the damn shadows. It doesn't stop there, though. This inept organization had to trade defensive captain Anthony Johnson because he wanted no part of their shit show. And before the season even started, released linebackers Jeremiah Spicer and Sean Oakman for being too physical in practice. They signed Oakman back, which is good because he was the only guy who seemed to be able to stop PJ Walker last weekend. But how on earth do you not let a guy named Spicer play for a man named Pepper? There is hope, though, for the Wildcats, as quarterback Josh Johnson should start this weekend, and he is good enough to carry this terrible, terrible team. Number 7, the Tampa Bay Vipers. They were the only Eastern Division team to lose opening weekend. They could make a big leap in the power rankings after this weekend, though. 2 red zone turnovers and an Aaron Murray fumble really made them look worse than they truly are. It's unfortunate that Aaron Murray is injured, but I think starting Taylor Cornelius and Quinton Flowers at the quarterback position will be the right move for the Vipers. Mark Trestman seems to be hesitant to just start Quinton Flowers and let him run with the offense, but that is to be expected for a coach who failed in about 8 other football leagues. Number 6, we've got the Dallas Renegades, who could also make a big jump in the power rankings. Landry Jones should start at QB this weekend, and assuming he doesn't call anyone the N-word like other Steeler backup quarterbacks, he could make all of the difference for the Renegades. If he doesn't light up the Wildcats secondary, he should request to return to the NFL so he can be Big Ben's butler again and possibly Myles Garrett's helmet shelf in place of Mason Rudolph. Number 5, we've got the Seattle Dragons. If quarterback Brandon Silvers can eliminate the interceptions, the Dragons have a very competitive team. Silvers is probable to play with an ankle injury, and keep in mind, 2 of the DC Defenders' touchdowns were due to a pick 6 and a blocked punt, so I think the Dragons' defense is better than the box score would lead you to believe. Number 4, I'm going with the New York Guardians, Matt McGloin. I'm not sold, dude. If you take away his opening drive, he really didn't do much. 42 of his 182 passing yards came on that series. I still do love receiver Mikael McKay, who finished with 58 receiving yards, 45 coming on 1 completion. I think Matt McGloin needs to get him the ball more because he might be one of the best playmakers in the league. The defense did have 5 sacks for the Guardians, so we will see if that pass rush is as effective against Cardale Jones on Saturday. Number 3, it's the St. Louis Battlehawks, the only Western Conference team to get a dub. A scrappy bunch that could also be a contender if quarterback Jordan Ta'amu progresses. He played very safe football week 1, 20 of 27, 0 picks and 77 rushing yards. I really think that is a blueprint for wins in the FXL. The biggest disappointment week 1 from the XFL was the lack of quarterback rushing and double forward passes. St. Louis can improve greatly if they finish drives with touchdowns instead of field goals. The Battlehawks defense had 4 sacks and 7 tackles for a loss, so that's a sneaky good defense. Or should I say, where caw is the law. I think that's the Battlehawks slogan. Caw is the law. Caw is the law. And 28,000 are expected for the Battlehawks at their home opener. And number 2, give me the Houston Roughnecks. Ooh, big controversy here. They scored the most points week 1, true, but they played my worst ranked team in the league. How can you evaluate how good a team is when they've only played the Bengals? Quarterback PJ Walker has a much bigger challenge this weekend facing the Battlehawks defense. If he throws 4 touchdowns again, I will bow down to his greatness. The Roughnecks only managed 50 rushing yards, which is an area the number 1 defenders also need to improve to stay atop the power rankings. The DC Defenders had 68 ground yards, 28 coming from quarterback Cardale Jones. Jones played very solid football. He utilized his most NFL-savvy receiver in Eli Rogers, who caught all 6 of his targets. And when you have Rashad Ross as your number 2 receiving option, you're primed to do some nice things through the air. The Defenders have a good quarterback. Their defense scored a touchdown and had 2 picks. Their punt team blocked a punt and scored a touchdown, and their kicker blasted a 54-yard field goal. They performed on all 3 phases, which is why they are the true number 1 big dick power team. Now, there were some Matthew Stafford trade rumors this week, but a QB who will actually be traded soon is Bungle in the Jungle's Andy Dalton. All signs are pointing to the fact that the Bengals will not mess up their first overall pick and will indeed take Joe Burrow in what should be the easiest pick in franchise history. The Bengals are taking it a step further in doing right by Andy Dalton in order to facilitate a trade he approves of. I think when Bill Belichick sees Andy Dalton, he sees his magnum opus. If Bill can win 1 Super Bowl with Dalton, it'll be 1,000 times more impressive than winning 6 with Tom Brady. And Billy B, when he said we're on to Cincinnati all those years ago, maybe he was just telegraphing his next step of taking the red rifle and turning him into a Super Bowl champion. Now, yes, Patreon. You guys fucking went nuts. I posted a video that was half of the Patreon content we do once a month. I do a Patreon only video about once a month, and Will and I do a Patreon only podcast when we can. Bunch of you guys donated, so here are your big dick Patreon shoutouts. Austin, Team Bleached Buttholes. Matt Ryan's $100 million dick upping to $5. Grant Udelhoffen. Zane Wicks. Williams Cunnert. Steven Rogers. Johnny M.H. The Dallas Cowboys. Thank you, Jerry. Jared Abernathy. James Trujillo. Zachary Souza. Matt Gliwa. Clizzard Lips, Ouchie My Peepee, RJ Liston, Chubby Wilson, Diddly Hole, Ned Flanders' favorite place to fornicate, Leslie Russell, Tom Brady is God, Brandon loves him. Yeah, I'll say whatever you want me to. Christopher Solden, You've Been Memed, Jack Skinner, Derek Barnhart, Josh Allen is our Lord and Savior, Philip Rivers and his kids could be the next XFL team, Roberto Alonso, XFL on Reddit. Yes, thank you. Make sure you follow the XFL Reddit. Artemis brain sample increasing by 55 cents. Rams fan, Belgium horns up, I swallow cum, the Husky Canine, Zachary Joslin, Marty Peterson, Caleb K-Wall, aka Young K Money reppin' Wyoming up in this bitch, upping to $10, Austin, Pinche Gringo, and Michael Trotter Lawson. Pinche Gringo, I see what you did there. Was that like Pinche Gringo? Yeah, I know some Spanish. Thank you guys so much for your donations. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, at Brandon Perna if you care to follow me in those social media places. I talk football. I'll answer your questions about life, and if you have any medical issues, I can diagnose them. I am qualified to do so.